All right, good afternoon, everyone. We are going to go ahead and get started. This week, we are going to discuss the project. Um, and I'm moving your project module just after the live recorded lectures. So I just published that. If you are already in Canvas and on the modules, you might just do a quick refresh and that will show up that will make your semester project module appear. All right, so for the semester project module, everything that you need is going to be inside of this module for your semester project. Okay, so today I'm going to introduce the project. And then on Wednesday, no, sorry, Thursday, on Thursday, we'll actually do some practice recipes. Okay, we already did one kind of with the cupcake, just going to introduce you the costing out. We costed out the breakfast plate in a previous chapter as well. But now you're going to be doing more of the documentation for costing out. So if we take a look at our project, okay, the way this project came about is prior to moving into this building, we served lunch and dinner just like we do now. But we used to serve a four-course meal, bless you. We served lunch for $9 and dinner for $12. Okay. And I always ask myself, well, how do we make any money if we're selling this for so cheap? Well, that got me thinking about if we were actually in a restaurant and we cost out these recipes and these menus using the concepts we talk about in class, what would we actually sell these menus for? Okay. And so that's where we're at with this. Now we moved over to the new building. Our lunch is now how much? Anybody know how much lunch is downstairs? $15. And if it's upstairs, it is $18.98. So essentially $20, right? Um, why can we, as a school, offer the meals that we do at such a low rate?
You don't have to pay for staff.
What's that?
You don't have to pay for staff.
We don't have to pay for staff, so we don't have labor expenses. That's one reason. Yep, what else? The cost of the ingredients, you guys all pay a lab fee, right? So a portion of that lab fee goes to help cover parts of the ingredients, not all the ingredients, but part of the ingredients. Okay. And so we don't necessarily operate like a traditional restaurant as far as a cost structure. And so that's one reason why I wanted to create this project. So we are going to cost out all of the recipes that are part of a four-course menu set. Okay. The second thing you're going to do is we're going to apply that 30% food cost. And then if you remember what we talked about in chapter 4, how different menu categories have a different percentage that we associated with it. So we're going to do one method where everything gets a flat 30%. Then we're going to do a second method where different categories are going to have different percentages associated with them. Okay. And you're going to compare those two numbers. Which method gave you a higher selling price? Okay. After we do those final calculations, you're going to answer these 5 questions right here. You're going to determine what you would sell it for. The only way to get points taken off is if you suggest a number that's less than what the math tells you. Okay. You can use the number the math tells you, but you could also come up with a higher number. If you remember in chapter 4, we talked about that price value relationship. So if the people in the market would pay more, even though the math tells me I should sell it for $18, if the people in the market tell me they would be willing to pay up to $25, well, then I might as well pay $25 for that. So that is the project in a nutshell. The biggest portion of your project is going to be costing out your recipes. Okay. That's what takes the most time. That's what takes up the most time. Once you get your recipes completed, then the rest of it moves relatively quickly. Okay. Next in the semester project is going to be your menu set. Okay, some of these recipes may look a little familiar. We kind of, borrowed from past menus to put together the new menus for this building. But essentially, you're going to have 10 different, I think it's, or 12 different recipes to complete for this assignment. Okay. Okay. The next item in our project module is our Chef Tech inventory list. This is where you're going to find the majority of your prices for your ingredients. Okay. The majority of your ingredients are going to be found in this section. Now, what I would recommend is that you work off of Canvas. So you open up the Chef Tech inventory list and you work right off of here. Okay. The reason why I do that is because if you hit Control F, okay, Control F, or if you're using a Mac, I believe it's Command F. You see this little box that pops up here in the top corner? Daniel, give me a type of an ingredient that we might use in the kitchen.
Carrot.
Carrot. So carrot appears 3 times. You see where it says 1-3? That means carrot appears 3 different times in this document. And so I just hit enter and it takes me to those 3 times that the word carrot appears in my document. Okay. Control F is the find feature. Okay. This works on any website. It works on most PDFs. This is how I got through graduate school by reading how I read a 20-page article. I would just do a search for the keyword and take me to that section of the article. I would read it, be able to answer my questions, right? So this is an easy way to kind of scan through and find that information, okay? So our carrots, $1.15 per pound. We also have baby carrots with the tops. This is $38.85 per case. And in each case, there's 2 dozen carrots. Okay. And then the baby carrots, the crew cut, it's $24.85 per 5-pound bag. So that's how we read this this chart, this document. Now, if you'd rather work on Excel, you totally can. You can download the Chef Tech inventory list. Okay. The only difference between working in Excel and working in Canvas is Canvas has the whole thing all at once. In Excel, it's only going to go by the tabs and the categories that are in the tabs below. Okay. So if I try to do a search for milk, oops, okay. So in milk, I have coconut milk, evaporated milk, condensed, non-fat, dry, and that's it. What if I'm looking for dairy milk? Right? It's not on here. Why? Because I'm on the canned, frozen, and dried. I need to be on the dairy tab. So in Excel, you have to remember to switch the tabs. Okay. The other thing you can do in Excel, if you want to, is expand the options and you want to search within the workbook. When you search within the workbook, it will automatically go to the next tab. Okay. It'll search the entire workbook, not just within the sheet. So if you're having a hard time with the Excel, chances are you're in the wrong sheet. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns about the Chef Tech inventory list? All right. The next thing in our project module is the semester project notes. So for any instance where maybe the ingredient is not on the Chef Tech inventory list, or maybe there's multiple types on the Chef Tech inventory list, I will give you the example of what I want you to use from the list in the semester project notes. So you will look at the recipe name, it's all in bold, okay? And then these are all information, whether it has to do with conversions or which ingredient to use or the price that maybe I pulled off of heb.com. Those types of pieces of information are really important to know for the semester project notes. Okay. Questions about this? This is a discussion post. You will have the option down at the bottom to reply. Sometimes I have students that will reply and ask questions there. I don't check this. Okay. So if you have a question, please just send me a message through Canvas or through email. Okay. Because I don't check the replies on here. There was one semester I checked and it just happened there was like 6 replies and questions from students that just went unanswered because I don't check this on a regular basis at all. Okay. So semester project notes. Next in our project module. Oops, this is the wrong class. No, this is the right class. There we go. Next in our semester project module is our volume to weight conversions. Okay. This is a website that allows you to convert from volume to weight. Okay. How many ounces are in 1 cup?
8.
8 ounces in a cup, right? That's 8 ounces of volume. Does 1 cup of flour weigh 8 ounces?
No.
No, it does not. Okay. And so when we are looking at utilizing this particular website, we have volume and we have weight. We just said cup is a volume measurement. What else is a volume measurement?
Pint.
Pint, good. Quart, okay, good.
Gallon.
Gallon, okay, good. We went all the way up to the top. Now let's go below a cup. What do we have that's a volume measurement
Tablespoon.
below a cup?
A tablespoon.
Tablespoon and
Teaspoon.
teaspoon. Okay. Those are all volume measurements. What are some weight measurements?
Pound.
Pounds and ounces. Those are the 2 that we're going to be using. We also, not in this project, but you might also have grams, kilograms, okay, things like that. We are focusing primarily on the pounds and ounces. Okay. So when you are working with volume, cups, pints, quarts, gallons, teaspoons, tablespoons, okay? If you see a recipe measurement in those increments, okay, those measurements, the first question you want to ask yourself is this a dry ingredient or is it a liquid ingredient? Why do we want to ask that question if it's dry or liquid? Say that again, Jasmine.
They both weigh differently.
Yeah, so if it's a liquid ingredient, then we know that 1 cup is 8 ounces because it's 8 ounces of volume, right? We measure liquid by the volume. But if it's a dry ingredient, we measure it by weight. Okay, so that's your first question. If I have 2 tablespoons of olive oil, I don't have to even come to this website because olive oil is a liquid. It's already measured in volume. Okay, so let's do some practice. The first time you go to this website, you are going to want to set your precision to 2. It more than likely will be set to 1. You want to set your precision to 2. It'll give you 2 decimal places. Okay. Coda, give me a type of ingredient that we might use in any recipe. Flour. Okay, cool. And Jan, how many cups or what's the measurement of our flour?
3.
3 cups. Are we good with cups or we want to change it to something different? Cups is fine. Okay, so 3 cups of flour. 3 cups of flour. It says 13.55 ounces or 0.85 pounds. However, this is arrowroot flour. Am I looking for arrowroot flour?
No.
No. Okay. So I'm going to click on this. It's going to give me all the different types of flour that I can search for. In this case, I'm going to use wheat flour that's all-purpose, enriched, and unbleached. So by doing that, 3 cups of flour weighs 13.23 ounces or 0.83 pounds. Okay. Which one of these would I use? Any thoughts? Should we use the ounces or should we use the pounds? Okay. Why ounces?
Because it's more exact.
Okay, it is more exact. Yep. We can choose either one. Okay. We're gonna do a couple of examples in a little bit to help you better understand why. Okay, let's do another one just to demonstrate this. All right, who wants to give me an ingredient?
Brown sugar.
Brown sugar. Okay. And what is our measurement? 2.5 cups. Good. Now, this does not take fractions, so we have to put in the decimal. So 0.5, 2.5 cups. All right, so this is brown sugar substitute. We don't want that. We want brown sugar. So that's 19.4 ounces or 1.21 pounds. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns? I know in baking it's more exact. If it's even more exact to use grams than it is to use ounces, right? In this case, we're using ounces and pounds because we're just costing out the recipe. Okay. And so the reason why is because we purchase in pounds and ounces. And so that's where we want to keep our units the same. Yep. All right. We're going to come back to that in just a moment. All right, so the next item in our project, this QR code right here will take you to that that converter calculator, the volume to weight calculator. Okay, so if you wanted to use your phone to do that while you had the other stuff on your computer, that's fine. This QR code will take you to that. Okay, then let me open this up. I've given you that AP to recipe format that we used for the breakfast plate. Okay, we're gonna go over that in just again in just a moment. And then this is what I wanted to share primarily with you all today. This is a step-by-step flow chart of what you're going to do to cost out your ingredients. Okay, so let's start with our flour. We had 3 cups of flour is our recipe. Okay. Let's go to our Chef Tech inventory list. And in our Chef Tech inventory list, flour, we'll do Control F. All-purpose flour is $17.36 for 50 pounds. Okay. So now let's go to here and let's use our flow chart. Okay. So we're first going to compare the AP and recipe units. Are they the same? Are these the same? Yes or no? No, they're not. So we're going to follow the arrow this direction. we have to convert to the same units. Our units have to match, okay? And so we have to ask, is our starting measurement in volume or weight? Well, our AP is in weight and our volume is in, our recipe is in volume, in cups, right? So if it's volume or weight to volume or volume to weight, we want to use the conversion website. So that's step number 3. So we come to our conversion website. We do 3 cups of flour. Make sure we get the right one. Now, looking at this right here, the AP to recipe, which one of these should we use? The ounces or the pound? Why pound? Because our units already match, right? We want to get those units to match. And so we're going to take this and we're going to say that these 3 cups are actually equal to, so I'm going to do my little arrow, is actually equal to 0.83 pounds. Okay. Now, do my units match?
Yeah.
Yes, they do. Okay. So now that they match, I follow the arrow and I have to reduce the AP cost to the cost of 1 unit. So I buy 50 pounds of flour, but now I have to figure out how much just 1 pound of flour costs. So how do I do that? $17.36 divided by 50. Let's do that in our math. 0.347, which means that becomes what? 35 cents per pound. And then my last step, I want to multiply the recipe unit cost, which is 35 cents, times the amount needed, and that's my cost. So 0.35 times 0.83 of a pound gives me 30 cents. Sorry, that's really small. But 30 cents is my cost of those 3 cups of flour. So the 50 pounds cost me $17.36, but 3 cups of those is only actually 30 cents. Questions, comments, concerns about how we utilize this flow chart?
What the final answer you got?
30 cents?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, because I got 0.2905, so we round up to 30 cents. Let's do another example. All right. Oops. So another example, AP to recipe. Let's do vanilla. Okay. Vanilla. What's our recipe unit for the vanilla? What do you think? Yeah, but how much are we going to use in our recipe? Just make up a number. 5 tablespoons?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. 5 tablespoons of vanilla. Okay. We go to our Chef Tech inventory to look for vanilla. And I want pure vanilla extract, $99.33 for 32 ounces. Oops, 33. For 32 ounces. Okay. So let's go through our flow chart. Number one, compare our units. Ounces and tablespoons, do they match? No, they do not. So we got to come down here. We have to convert to the same unit, okay? So is our AP, is that in volume or weight? It is in volume. Ounces can be volume or weight, right? But because vanilla is what type of ingredient? It's a liquid, we can assume that it's volume, okay? So volume and tablespoon is volume. So if it's volume to volume, we're going to use the known conversion. So how do we get tablespoon to ounces?
Every tablespoon is half an ounce.
1 tablespoon is equal to half an ounce. So if we have 5 tablespoons, we get
2.5.
2.5 ounces. So these 5 tablespoons become 2.5 ounces. Now do my units match? Good. So now we come over here, we reduce the AP cost to 1 unit. So what is 99.33 divided by 32?
3.1.
Okay, so we divide that and we get 3.104. So we're going to round that up to $3.11 per ounce. And now we can multiply that times 0.25. We get 7.775, so $7.78. That's how we get to the cost of that vanilla. This is how we use the flow chart. Okay, start at the beginning. You have to make a decision. Are the units the same? Yes or no? Okay. If the units are already the same, then we just go straight across and reduce the cost of 1 unit. And then we multiply to get our cost of our ingredient. Okay. Any questions about using this flow chart? You want to do one more example? Or if you want to, we're going to do more on Thursday when we actually cost out recipes. Okay, cool. So then the next thing on your project is going to be your worksheet. Every single one of your recipes is going to have this worksheet completed. Your project will be turned in digitally. Okay, so you're going to basically be adding to one Word document to turn in all of your stuff in one document, which means everything should be typed. Okay, no handwritten projects will be accepted. So we're gonna do this next class on Thursday. So I'll have copies of this printed out for you all so we can see. If you are online, just make sure you have a couple of these downloaded or one, at least a blank one downloaded. But essentially, we're gonna fill out the recipe in the front. And then the second page on the back is where we're actually gonna cost things out. So if you take a look, this is our AP, right? This is our recipe. And this right here is that 1 unit cost. Okay, that 1 unit cost that we just worked out. So as you're trying to decide what is going to work for you as far as if you want to work ahead, I'm more than happy to you're more than allowed to work ahead on the project. I've had students that have finished it in 2 weeks and just been done with it. Okay. Other students have taken the entire time. That's okay. But if you look, anything that says menu set 2 on it, just like you see right here, anything that says menu set 2, that is a recipe for your project. It does not go in order of the menu. So if you want to work ahead, you're more than welcome to work ahead, but I would check your syllabus to see which recipe is due next, so that way you don't get behind on those recipes, okay? We're gonna use this one as an example on Thursday, okay? Excuse me. Every one of your recipe quizzes, you have 99 attempts on the recipe quizzes. So what does that mean? What does that mean for my expectation?
Like 100.
Of 100. Okay. I'm gonna go over how to fill these quizzes out on Thursday when we actually do the recipe. And you'll understand why there's 99 attempts on each one. Okay. Looking at our calendar. For next week, we will not have class on the 24th. Okay. I have a meeting at the district office on the 23rd, since I like to keep my classes together. Okay, we are not going to have class on the 24th. That will be a work day, independent work day for you. Okay. Looking at our calendar for the class. Did I not upload your 2026 one? Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me get that 2026 one uploaded today. Let's take a look at that calendar. All right, so we will finish, more than likely, we will finish the textbook right after spring break. Okay. Once we finish the textbook, which is chapter 10, once we went over chapter 10, the remainder of our classes are going to be devoted to project work days. Okay. For you all, it's nothing new, it's nothing different. You can log in or you can come into class. Okay. We will use that time to work on your project. If your assignments are already done, if you've already done the recipes that are due that week, all you have to do is log in for attendance. And then once you log in, I've taken attendance, you can log off. But if your assignments for that week are not complete, the expectation is that you sit in class or you sit online and you're working on those. You're asking me questions for ingredients that are giving you a hard time. And we work through some of those. Okay. So the expectation is that it's not a free day. It's time for you to come in and work on the project. Okay. And then if you do not, if you're already done, if you've already finished the recipes that are due the following Tuesday, you don't have to stay logged in unless you want to work on a future recipe. That's totally fine. Okay. Remember, this project is worth, combined with the recipe costing and the final project itself, is worth 30% of your final grade. If you decide not to do this project, the highest grade you can get is a 70 if you are perfect on everything else. Okay. If you don't have a 70, if you get dropped below a 70, then you have to take my class over again. Okay. So I encourage you not to fall behind, because the late work, if you turn something in late, that's that 30% deduction for any kind of late work. Okay. So please make sure you're on top of these recipes. Okay. Does anybody have any questions in general about the project? No? All right. Well, that's all I have for class today. Ivan, I need to get your attendance updated. Anybody else come in while we were talking?